I'm Mary, and I'm here to tell you this story just for you. So, let's go imagine driving through a snowstorm for 9 straight hours, your hands frozen, your eyes burning from the cold wind outside, your heart beating fast, because all you want is to surprise your wife on her birthday, to see her smile, to hold her again after weeks away. But when I opened the door to our house, my breath caught in my throat. I dropped the flowers right there in the hallway and just froze. There was light inside, soft music playing, and laughter coming from the kitchen. Not just any laugh, a man's laugh, the kind of laugh that doesn't belong in your home when you're supposed to be away. In that exact moment, every single thought went through my head. Is she cheating on me? Did I drive all this way just to catch her in the act? I had no idea what I was about to walk into. And looking back, now I think arriving 5 minutes later would have changed everything, but I got there right on time. Just not for what I expected. Before I go on, take a second and subscribe to the channel. We're so close to hitting our goal, and your support makes all the difference. Now let me take you back to the beginning, because nothing about that night was what it seemed. It all started a few weeks before her birthday. I had taken a short contract job in another city over 600 kilometers away, and I knew I wouldn't be home in time for the big day. She told me it was okay. She understood. She said we could celebrate later when I got back, but I could hear the disappointment in her voice, and it hit me harder than I expected. So I made a decision. I told her I had too much work and wouldn't be able to visit, but that was a lie, because I already had the plan set. I was going to surprise her. I started organizing everything in secret. I ordered the gift. She'd always wanted, a bracelet with her birthstone and a little message engraved that said, "Always yours." I booked the day off, packed everything in the car, and set my alarm for 4 a.m. The drive was supposed to take just over 8 hours, but halfway through the sky changed fast, and snow began falling hard. Soon I was caught in a full blizzard. My wipers could barely keep the windshield clear, and the roads were turning white. I had to stop 3 times just to scrape the ice off the headlights, but I didn't care. I was smiling through all of it, thinking of her face when she'd open the door and see me standing there with flowers. This was supposed to be one of those unforgettable romantic moments, the kind that people tell their kids one day. I imagined us laughing, drinking wine, sharing stories by the fireplace, but no, something was waiting for me at the end of that storm. Something I wasn't ready to face, and it all started the moment I pulled into our driveway and noticed the first thing that didn't make sense. When I got to the house, the first thing I noticed was the porch light. It was on. I never leave it on, and neither does she, not unless someone's expecting someone. I stepped out of the car slowly, snow crunching under my boots. I held the flowers close to my chest, my fingers already numb. I walked up to the front door and stopped. It was unlocked. My heart skipped a beat. She never forgets to lock it, ever, especially not at night, and definitely not during a snowstorm. I pushed it open slowly, half expecting her to be standing there, arms wide, smile on her face, ready to scream surprise. But the hallway was empty, warm but quiet, too quiet. I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. My shoes left little puddles on the floor. I didn't even bother taking them off. That's when I noticed the lights on in the kitchen. Soft music was playing, jazz, the kind she listens to when she's in the mood to relax, or when she's cooking for someone special. I took a step closer and heard laughter, not hers, a man's voice, deep, low, calm. I stopped breathing. There were 2 plates on the dining table, 2 wine glasses half full, candles lit. Everything looked like a date. I stood there frozen, every memory, every doubt, every fear crashing into me all at once. Had she moved on? Had she invited Omion over, knowing I wouldn't be back until the end of the week? My fingers tightened around the flower stems, and I felt the plastic crinkle. I walked toward the kitchen slowly. The hallway felt longer than ever. My ears were burning. My face felt hot, even though I was still soaked from the snow. And then I heard Ither voice laughing, saying something sweet, followed by silence. And then that man's voice again. "You always know how to make me feel special." I stopped just a few steps away from the door, and that's when I knew I couldn't turn back. Whatever was going on in that room, I had to see it with my own eyes. My hands were shaking as I reached the edge of the kitchen doorway. I leaned slightly to the side, just enough to see, but not enough to be seen. The kitchen was empty. No one was there. But the 2 plates were still warm, steam rising from the food, the wine glasses still sweating from the cold bottle nearby, and a jacket slung over the back of one chair, not mine. I could still hear voices, faint but close, like they were just beyond the wall, maybe in the living room or upstairs. I tiptoed past the kitchen, trying not to make a sound, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. I moved toward the living room and paused. There were footsteps overhead, light ones moving across the bedroom floor. Our bedroom. Then silence. I stood there frozen, not knowing if I should shout her name or leave or burst in and demand answers. But I couldn't stay in the dark. I climbed the stairs slowly, each step creaking under my weight. The house felt unfamiliar, like I didn't belong there anymore. As I got closer to the room, I heard it again. Her laugh, soft and warm, the kind she used to give me when we were alone, the kind that made me feel like the only person in the world. And then the man's voice again, low and intimate. I stood in front of the door, and it was half open, a soft light pouring out from inside, casting shadows on the hallway wall. I leaned in just enough to see. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, holding hands with him, both of them laughing. I couldn't see his face, only hers, and the way she looked at him. Like she used to look at me. My breath caught in my throat. I didn't know what to think, what to feel, what to do. I felt like I was sinking, like the floor under me had disappeared. Everything I thought I knew was slipping away. And I knew I had only one choice: to walk through that door and find out the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I pushed the door open fully, and the sound made them both jump. She turned to me, eyes wide, mouth open in shock. The man beside her stood up quickly. I was ready to scream, ready to throw the flowers and the gift across the room, ready to ask why. But then I saw his face. It wasn't a stranger. It was her brother. Her brother, who had moved overseas years ago. Her brother, who I hadn't seen since our wedding. Her brother, who she never mentioned would be visiting. I stood there stunned, completely speechless. She got up and came toward me, fast, tears already in her eyes, saying, "Baby, no, wait, this isn't what you think." But my head was spinning. I couldn't process anything. I just kept staring at him, then back at her, then back at the untouched present in my hand. I managed to speak finally. "What is going on?" She took my hand gently and pulled me into the room. "We were planning a surprise for you," she said. "He came back early. We wanted to tell you together tonight, over dinner. We were going to ask you something important." My knees felt weak. I sat on the edge of the bed while they both looked at me, nervous, like I was holding the ending of this night in my hands. He smiled and said, "We were planning to offer you a job with me overseas. We've been working behind the scenes for weeks," she added. "It was supposed to be special for you." And there I was, standing in the middle of my own surprise party, thinking it was a betrayal. I didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Everything I had imagined had just collapsed, but something else entirely had taken its place. I sat there with the bracelet still in my hand, the ribbon slightly wet from the snow, and I couldn't stop shaking. My wife knelt in front of me, holding my hand, looking into my eyes with that same look she gave me when we got married, calm, gentle, full of hope. She said she knew how hard I'd been working, how tired I looked, how unhappy I seemed, living so far from everything we wanted. She told me she had been talking to her brother for weeks, trying to find a way to change our life together. He had built something overseas, a business that was taking off, and he needed someone he trusted, someone who could take charge, someone like me. And this dinner, this night, this whole setup was for that moment. They were going to ask me if I wanted to leave everything behind and start over. A new job, a new home, a new country. A new chapter with her. And I ruined it by assuming the worst. I dropped my head and started to laugh, not because it was funny, but because the weight in my chest was finally breaking. I told them everything about the drive, the storm, the unlocked door, the voices, the scene that looked so wrong from the outside. Her brother laughed and said, "Man, you should have seen your face." But she didn't laugh. She held my face in her hands and said, "I'm sorry, I should have told you something. I just wanted it to be perfect." I finally gave her the bracelet, and she cried. Then she gave me the offer. A job that paid better than anything I had before, a chance to grow and finally be close to her again without the long drives and the late-night phone calls. I said yes that night, not just to the job, but to everything. To change, to trust, to the future. And we sat down together, the three of us, and had that dinner after all. It wasn't the night they planned, and it wasn't the night I imagined. But somehow it became exactly what we all needed. We moved 3 months later, packed everything into boxes, and started over somewhere completely new. The air felt different there, lighter, the days were warmer, the nights quieter, and every time I looked at her I felt like I had gotten a second chance. I started working with her brother, and things fell into place faster than I imagined. Our relationship grew stronger, not because everything was perfect, but because we had been close to losing it. And I never forgot that night. Sometimes I think about how quickly I assumed the worst, how one unlocked door, one laugh, one shadow in the hallway almost made me throw everything away. And I wonder what would have happened if I had walked in just 5 minutes later. Maybe I would have seen them setting up the surprise. Maybe I would have walked into a room full of candles and smiles and hugs. Or maybe I never would have seen the look on her face, the fear, the hurt, the regret, when she saw how broken I was. We talk about it sometimes, and she always says the same thing. Love needs patience, love needs trust, and sometimes love needs a snowstorm to remind us of what really matters. I don't know if that night changed everything, or if it just revealed what was already there. But I do know this. I'm glad I came home. I'm glad I opened that door. And I'm glad I didn't walk away. Because in the middle of that cold, dark storm, I found something I didn't even know I was missing. A reason to believe again. So what would you have done if you were me? Would you have walked away or stayed to find out the truth? Tell me in the comments. I really want to know your thoughts. If this story kept you hooked, hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe. We are almost at our goal, and your support means everything to me. And before you go, there is another crazy story waiting for you right now on the screen. Just click it and keep watching, because I promise you it will keep you on the edge of your seat. Thank you for being here with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.